I heard you this morning on the radio here in Keene talking about immigration.
Did you hear that guy gave me grief?
Jesus. Yeah. He called. He said it was a left-wing rant or whatever, but he thought you were a senator. So I don't think he's done a lot of research on this. But my question to you, because I heard what you had to say about the humane aspect of immigration, and I share your concern there. But as John McCain now says, we also have to figure out how to close the borders down a little better so that we don't have to do this every 10 to 15 years. And I'm wondering, are you on the side of some sort of border control as well as treating the people who are here now with some compassion?
Yeah, I am. And I have a record to prove it. 2 years ago, I was the first governor to declare a border emergency, which meant that I could get state funds to deal with the flow of drugs and people coming in. So I have my scars to prove it, and I'm part Hispanic, so all the Hispanic groups jump me. But yeah, what I would do is I would double the number of Border Patrol, keep the National Guard there. They're only there for 2 years. I'd extend that because it's working. I'd have more detection equipment at the border. But am I for this wall? No, because it won't work. It won't work. First of all, the Congress only funded half of the wall. Secondly, if you have a 12-foot wall, you know why it's not going to work? Because they're going to build 13-foot ladders. Right. People are going to go under it when people are desperate. So I think you have to find ways to work this with more people, more detection equipment, more trained border guards, and we do have to reduce the flow. We're a nation of laws. There are some jobs that are being lost. Many of them are jobs that Americans don't want, but you got to face that. Second thing you got to do is, have a conversation with Mexico. They're our friend. But Mexico, their policy is to let their people come. Say to them, hey, do something about poverty in your country. Do something about jobs in your country. Maybe we can work together. At the very least, stop handing out maps on the easiest place to cross. And then, you got to sanction the employer that illegally hires workers. It's a joke. It doesn't happen. And then the last point, Guy, is, you mentioned McCain. McCain and Kennedy came up with a decent plan. I know it's hurting McCain terribly in New Hampshire and Iowa, but they came up with the right plan that said, okay, you take the 12 million. What are you going to do with them? Deport them? 12 million? What, round them up? Who's going to pay for that? It's not America. And it's not going to work. What's going to happen to small businesses, to restaurants? So what you do is you set up a path to legalization, not amnesty, not citizenship, but say, okay, you can stay, but you got to follow the following conditions. You got to learn English. You got to pay back taxes. You got to pay a fine for being here illegally. You got to pass a background check. You got to embrace American values. And then you have to get behind everybody else that is trying to get here legally.
Are we headed directly to becoming a bilingual country? I mention this because driving around New Hampshire, I don't meet a lot of Hispanic people. I don't meet people who speak Spanish. More French, really, still than Spanish. But driving into McDonald's...
Vous parlez français?
Oui, je parle français.
Oui, je sais que vous avez écrit un livre en français.
Un livre en français, c'est ça, oui. Première année de français.
How do you guys like our Spanish?
But I was driving through the drive-in at McDonald's the other day, and they've got signs up in Spanish. It's really kind of a joke. They sent a flyer out with this newspaper with Spanish on one side and English on the other. And people are now getting their products at the supermarket and having to look for the English language instructions on how to cook it because there's a Spanish section now too. And I'm just wondering do you think this is heading inevitably in that direction?
No. And I wouldn't advocate it. In fact, one of my requirements, as I said to you, is I think immigrants that come into this country that want to stay have to learn English. No. Do we now, Pat? Guy. See, got it in my head.
That's all right.
Am I for English only? No, that's discriminatory. Am I for teaching immigrants more English? Yes. We're a tolerant country, but there should be more fundamental efforts by the private sector, by the government to teach English. But, you know, are we becoming a... We shouldn't be. And I think one of the fallacies is that a lot of immigrants, the first thing they want to do is they want to be part of the mainstream. You know, they want to learn English. They want to be part of the American dream. It doesn't mean we are a nation of laws, and there has to be, and this is why I'm not advocating an amnesty. I mean, under the plan that Kennedy and McCain came up with, it takes 9 years to get a green card. It takes 12 years to apply for citizenship. You know, you're done. That's not amnesty.